Brock, hands down the hardest first gym leader in any version of Pokemon. And in Gen 1, he was especially difficult because Pokemon had such terrible movesets. We end up running away, just like the Pikachu in the anime. Today, let's find out how many Pokemon can actually beat Brock on minimum battles. And how big of a challenge was Brock really? Let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to RBY Pokemon Challenges. My name is Teo and today, this is episode 1 of the Brock Minimum Battles series. We're going to take the first 15 Pokemon, Bulbasaur through Beedrill, and try them on minimum battles against Brock. Now, this is going to be a little different from some of my previous content, because we're not just taking one run here. Instead, we're going to start each Pokemon with max DVs, its best possible stats to see if it can get through. And then we're going to follow up with all the Pokemon that beat Brock with a second run, where we're going to take them on 0 DVs, the worst possible stats. Why would we do that? Well, maximum DVs will tell us if it's possible, 0 DVs will tell us if it's easy. Now, if we want to play a Nuzlocke challenge, speed run, Pokemon race against our friends, or just to take a full game playthrough, knowing which Pokemon will get through Brock the most quickly is a key to making that challenge work. So today, let's get into it. So here we are starting our Bulbasaur run on max DVs in Pokemon Blue version. The red and blue are going to be exactly the same. We're not taking wild Pokemon battles, so we don't really care about the wild Pokemon differences. And we're just going to get started here with our Bulbasaur. So this Bulbasaur has max DVs. It has the best possible stats for any Bulbasaur at this point in the game. And we're going to go ahead and try to run through Brock on minimum battles. So let's start with the rival right here. We're just going to drop some growls on him first. Hopefully he doesn't get too many critical hits off on us. And now we just want to try to tackle him down. And it should be fairly consistent. There we go. So first battle is done. We've leveled up 1 level to level 6. And now let's go complete the Oaks Parcel section of the quests. Bulbasaur in this version, I really don't expect to be too much of a challenge. And it's basically because in this version, we're going to get to level 7 in Viridian Forest, and we're going to get Leech Seed. But then when we go up against Brock, he's actually going to lead off with his Geodude that in this version knows Tackle and Defense Curl. And Defense Curl is exactly what we want to see from the Geodude when we fight it. Because Defense Curl is basically going to allow us to heal up using Leech Seed for free every turn that it uses that. And we're going to see that that's going to really be a big benefit to this Bulbasaur here. So first we've got to get through this Bug Catcher. He has a level 9 Weedle. Let's get into the battle. Here, we're going to start off by growling a couple times just to get his damage down, and now it's just a matter of attacking him over and over again. Hopefully he doesn't get any critical hits on us, and there we go. So we're through level 7, and Bulbasaur can make its way up to Brock. In Brock's gym, the strategy is simple. We're going to lead off with a Leech Seed, and then start using Growl on Geodude. And we really want it to use Defense Curl as many times as possible. Let's see how this goes. Okay, so we get off Leech Seed. He's using Defense Curl. And as we can see, I mean, we're pretty close to max health. And now we're just going to start spamming Tackle. And we can see that we're basically sitting pinned at full health here. Now Onix is basically the same thing. We just want to use Leech Seed and then start growling again, and Bide is perfect. We love to see Bide from him, because Bide basically means that he's not doing any damage to us and we're just getting free turns to heal up. So when he uses Bide, we're just gonna try to avoid attacking him, and there we go. It's not really a difficult run with our Bulbasaur. We get through on max DVs just fine. So now it's time to see how Bulbasaur does in blue version on 0 DVs. We're right here against Brock. We're just a little bit weaker, but let's see how this goes. The strategy is basically the same. We're going to still lead off with Leech Seed and go into Growl. And the fact that Geodude will use Defense Curl in this version is actually working hugely to our advantage. Because in spite of the fact that we're weaker, we're still healing up every single turn. And if we can get through on decent health, we're going to have a good chance against the Onix. So here we are, Onix, we still got 19 HP, and we can just spam Growl, and we want to see it use Bide. We want to see it use Screech. We just really don't want Tackle. So we're just going to keep using Growl whenever we have the chance to use that. Otherwise, we're just going to use Tackle and try to take it out. So here we go. We're getting very low on its health, and we got through. Perfect. So basically in blue version, Bulbasaur gets through Brock very, very easily. But what does that mean for yellow version? Well, here, this is going to be really, really different from blue version, because unlike blue version where we naturally get to level 7 by beating the Bugcatcher in Viridian Forest, in this version, we actually need to lose to the rival to be able to get Leech Seed. Otherwise, we'll level up too much. So here against the rival, we're actually intentionally going to lose by just using Growl over and over and over again. So now we have to take on this Bugcatcher with a level 5 Bulbasaur instead of a level 6 one. Now the strategy is still the same. We're going to use Growl and then start tackling and hope that we can get through this fight. And it looks like we get through, but with only 1 HP remaining. But that was okay. We still got our Leech Seed. The reason that we had to do all that manipulation is because there's an issue in the way that they coded Generation 1. Basically, if you level up 2 or more levels in a single battle, you will skip new moves. But with Leech Seed, we're here at Brock, we have a chance, let's try this. So we're going to lead off with Leech Seed, just like we did in blue version, and now it's time to start spamming Growl. But there's something really different going on here. We're healing up only 1 HP per turn off of the Geodude, whereas in blue version we were getting 2 HP per turn. That's because this Geodude is 2 levels lower, and being 2 levels lower, the amount of HP that we heal off of it each turn is actually much lower. So here's what we need to happen. We need to get Leech Seed off the first turn. We need to set up our Growls, and we need this Geodude to actually miss against us early on in the battle. Basically, in the first turn, we want it to miss, and then we actually are going to need it to miss a second time in order to get through. If we can get through this Geodude, we might just have a chance against Onix. Here, we get taken out, but it shows that it's possible. So, let's see how this goes. We're going to have to take a lot of attempts, guys. Finally, here, coming up on our 15th attempt, we finally get a run where we get some amazing luck. We get Geodude to miss us multiple times. And in this battle, that's huge, because unlike blue version where he'll use Defense Curl and basically just let us heal up for free, in this version, yellow version, he always attacks us with Tackle. So the only way to get free turns to heal up is by having him miss. Now that we've gotten through, all we need to do is get Leech Seed and Growl set up on Onix. Because Onix, using Bide and Screech, will actually allow us to heal up off of it. And even if he uses Bind on us, we're just getting free healing for multiple turns. So again, once we get to the Onix, this is not really that difficult. But with that being said, now we've got to take this run on 0 DVs. And we can immediately see how much harder it is just here against the Bug Catcher. Our Bulbasaur only has 19 HP and it gets taken out. We have to try again. We're going to set up Growl. We're going to try to tackle it down. This is actually a challenge, guys. A Caterpie is beating us. Let's try one more attempt. So now we set up Growl. We're hoping to not take a critical hit. We really want it to just use String Shot as many times as possible, and we have to try to tackle this thing down. So when you're struggling against Caterpie, does that really build any confidence for us going into Brock? Yeah, this is a tough one, guys. So we have to get in, we have to set up Growl. We like to see these misses. We like to see when it uses String Shot. And now we really just need it not to attack us. Okay, so we heal up, get into the battle, and here we are. We're going to try to get off our Growls and get set up, and hopefully it won't attack us too many times and we'll finally be able to take it out. Yeah, there, we barely get through with 1 HP. That took us 4 attempts just to get through a Caterpie. So, with 0 DVs, is this going to be possible against Brock? Let's get into it and find out. So, against the Geodude, we're going to try the same thing. Set up Leech Seed and start getting off our Growls. But we can already see that our health is so low. We barely got any of its health off of it, and we're barely healing up. So, unfortunately, Bulbasaur on 0 DVs in yellow version is impossible. Alright, so next up is Ivysaur, and Ivysaur has already shown that it can beat Brock in blue version very, very easily, because, look, if a Bulbasaur can beat Brock on minimum battles with 0 DVs, an Ivysaur can beat Brock on minimum battles. So, the real question is, how about yellow version? So here we are, we've got our Ivysaur fighting the rival. We can see the biggest difference between Ivysaur and Bulbasaur is that we start off with Leech Seed, so we don't need to do any gymnastics of losing to the rival. Now against the Caterpie, it's basically more of the same. Leech Seed into Tackle, and this Caterpie really isn't going to cause us too much trouble. Unlike the Bulbasaur, where this could be a difficult fight because we didn't have Leech Seed yet, we get through very, very easily. So now it's just time to move on to Brock, and let's see if Brock is any different in yellow version than he was in red and blue. So the first thing that we would expect is that we need to get Leech Seed off turn 1 and then start using Growl. So let's see how that goes. Okay, we missed with our first Leech Seed. That's an automatic reset. Here, we get Leech Seed off. Now we're growling, and we need to get his damage down enough that we're then able to heal up and tackle him down. The benefit that we have is that we have better stats, we're 1 level higher, and we have better attacking power than our Bulbasaur. So we can see that we got through on that. And now it's really just about getting set up against Onix. Yeah, we don't want to see a critical hit like that. So let's try this again. Leech Seed into Growl. We don't want to see critical hits. Once we get him all the way down for his attack with Growl, we just want to start using Tackle ourselves to try to take him out. And we can see that this isn't like an amazing run, but it's fairly consistent getting through the Geodude. So once we get to Onix, we really just want to see Bide, right? Just like that. That's going to give us a couple turns to heal up, get our Growls off, we basically just don't want to take Tackle and Bind right away when we get to him. And once we've gotten to that point, and no, I don't mean to use a potion there, sorry guys. So once we get to that point, it's really just a matter of now we can start tackling him down, and there he goes. Done. It's not really that difficult to get through with a max DVs Ivysaur. So now what we need to see is how we do with 0 DVs against Brock. So on 0 DVs, the strategy is basically the same. We need to use a Leech Seed and go into Growl. The problem is that we have lower stats. And that could be a run breaker right here. We can already see that we're fairly low on health with this basic strategy. So what can we do? Well, first, we're going to have to just see if we can get some better luck. Just like the Bulbasaur before, we really want to see if we can get him to miss in the first few turns. That's because missing in the first few turns means that he's going to do a lot less damage to us, and it's going to give us a chance to maybe get through. If we can get through the Geodude and get set up on the Onix, it's fairly smooth sailing from there. So we just need to get a little bit of luck from the looks of things. We're getting really close to taking him out. So here, again, we're setting up Leech Seed and Growl. We got a miss from the Geodude, and that's exactly what we want to see. And now we can work on tackling him down, and hopefully we're going to get through on this attempt, at least to Onix. It's very, very close, but we do get through. And Onix immediately takes us out. So let's see if we can get better luck on one of these runs. We're just going to have to keep grinding. After about 5 more attempts, we finally get a run like this one, where we get our Growls off and Leech Seed on the Geodude. It misses its attack, and now we're very close every time, whether we're going to get through or not. We're typically finishing where it looks like it has just a few HP left. So if we can just get another miss like that, now we have a chance to get through. And there we go. We've gotten through the Geodude. We're back to Onix, and we just need Onix to really not attack us for the first few turns while we get set up. Bind is not that bad because it doesn't do a lot of damage. We really prefer to see Bide though. And now as we get set up on it, we can start attacking, and we're just really hoping not to get taken out as we heal up using our Leech Seed. So there we go. We finally have it. A run where we get our Ivysaur through. So Ivysaur was possible in yellow version, just not perfectly consistent. Venusaur, on the other hand, is going to be much, much stronger, because Venusaur is going to start the game with Vine Whip. Vine Whip is a not super strong grass type move, but it is super effective against his Pokemon, and it's going to set up Venusaur to basically crush this in blue and yellow with very, very few difficulties. Here against the rival at the beginning of blue, we're just gonna use Growl and Tackle just like any other run. There's no need to get fancy here, guys. So after we get through that, we can move on and fight the Bug Catcher, who really we wouldn't expect to be much of a challenge. We've already got Leech Seed. We can pretty much just use Tackle to tackle it down. Poison Sting's not going to do that much to us, so we're just going to go ahead and batter our way through. There we go, and it's on to Brock. And Brock is going to be really, really easy, I think, because if Ivysaur and Bulbasaur crushed Brock in blue version, and they didn't have Vine Whip, well, why would we struggle with our Venusaur? Let's get into it and let's find out. So turn 1, we're going to just use Vine Whip. It's not a one-hit KO against a level 12 Geodude, but 2 hits and we get through. And then we one-hit the Onix. And there we go. Max DVs in blue version, this is no challenge whatsoever. So coming back with 0 DVs here, we're just going to fight Brock again immediately. We don't need to see the battles before this, really. It's the same story. 2 Vine Whips. In this case, Onix is not a one-hit KO, it's a 2-hit KO. coming back in yellow version. His Pokemon are at lower levels, so they're both just one-hit KOs on max DVs. Let's see it with 0 DVs now. Yellow version, 0 DVs, we still one-shot and one-shot. So, Venusaur is a super strong Pokemon for this challenge. It really has no difficulty regardless of the DVs. We would expect it to just beast this entire section of the game. So now it's really time to get into Charmander and see how he does against Brock. So we're going to start out in blue version, where our Charmander will have the advantage that Geodude can use Defense Curl. And by using Defense Curl, it's possibly going to give us enough free turns that we can get through and not faint before we get to Onix. Basically, if we can beat the Geodude, we will level up to level 9, and at that point, we will be able to get Ember. And Ember is a very useful move against Brock because burns lower his attack. Even when he uses a full heal to remove the burn from his Pokemon, it doesn't change the attack modifier. So his attack will stay lower even though he's healed the burn. And if we can get multiple burns on him, it's going to be even more so. But first, we've got to get through the rival, so we're going to use Growl and Scratch in order to take out his Squirtle. Not too difficult with a max DV's Charmander. And now we've just got to make our run up through Viridian Forest and see how this goes. Up against the Bug Catcher, this is really a pretty simple strategy. We're just going to use Growl and go into Scratch. It's not a situation where this Weedle's really that strong and going to take us out. Yeah, we get poisoned. We'll just heal that up. But at this point, the real question is, can we get through Brock? Because while, yes, we have Growl to lower his attack, and while, yes, using Defense Curl will give us extra turns to use Scratch, and yes, we do have max DVs on this Charmander, it might still be too much luck to get through. Let's find out. So here, we're going to start by setting up Growl. And that's just to reduce the damage that it's doing to us and give us more turns to attack it. After we get those set up, we're going to go into Scratch over and over and over again. But this is not looking very good, guys. Here, let's try one more attempt. We Growl at it to lower its attack. And then we're going to go into Scratch again, and we really just want to see Defense Curl a lot of times. But we can see our Scratch does basically no damage. The best we can do is to get it to doing about 2 HP or 3 HP per hit against us. And that pretty much is all that we need to see. Charmander, as much as I would like to get it to level 9 and get it through Brock, this really just isn't a possible run. And the reason it's not possible really comes down to not having access to Ember. If we had access to Ember, we might be able to burn the Geodude and get lucky enough to get through. But you know what Pokemon does have Ember at the start of the game? Charmeleon. So let's come back and do the same run now with Charmeleon and see if its addition of the move Ember is enough to be able to get through Brock. Most of the start of the game starts the same. The big difference is that Ember is going to allow us to get through some of these battles really, really easily. Against the rival, it's just Growl into Scratch, and we take him out. Let's move on to the Bug Catcher in Viridian, where now Ember is basically going to allow us to just wreck him. And we are able to move on to Brock very, very easily with almost no challenge, guys. So now it's just about, can we get burns off on Brock to get ourselves set up, lower his attack, and actually get through this fight. So first, we're going to lead off with Ember the first time, and we get a burn turn 1. That's awesome. And now we're going to start growling at him, and we're going to see that his attack power against us gets quite low. And we get another burn, so he's only doing 1 damage per attack to us. So if we can just get through this section and get to Onix, we're going to have a shot Now we take a critical hit and we get knocked out, but we can see basically what's going to happen. When we get a good run, we're going to get him all the way down to doing only 1 HP per turn of damage to us. Together with the fact that he uses Defense Curl, he's just giving us tons of attempts to get burns on him. And when we do finally get through, Onix is going to be the same story. If we can get burns off on it, it's going to do less and less damage to us. And that's going to allow us to potentially get through this fight. So here, we're just trying to get through the Geodude. And there we go. We have gotten to Onix. Now, if Onix just attacks us, we basically get taken out. Just like that. So let's see if we can get a better run. After numerous resets, we finally get this run right here, where we managed to get the Geodude's attack down. He's using a lot of defense curls. We've already gotten him down to doing just a couple of HP of damage, and he takes us out. So, finally, after numerous runs, we get this attempt right here, where we get our growls set up on the Geodude without taking too much damage at all, and now we're trying to burn it, and we're taking its HP down fairly nicely here. We can see that we're going to get through, barring some lucky critical hits, and we get through. So now we're at Onix with 21 HP, it uses Bide right off the bat, and we're able to just go straight into using Growl on it, and we're just using Ember when we know that Bide is likely to finish, and in that way we're avoiding taking a whole lot of damage from it, and we just need to get through. It's just used Bide, but he healed with a full heal, and that let us get through with our Charmeleon. So even on 0 DVs, in this version, we might have a chance. So let's just see how this next run goes here. So we're coming right back to Brock, and we're going to see here. Okay, so here we are. We are against Brock now with 0 DVs, and I had to reset numerous times to get this run finally, but the key point is that we're lowering his attack. We're going to try to get some burns off on him, and basically if we can get the right kind of luck, we'll be able to get through to the Onix, and then once it gets to Onix, it's really just about whether Onix decides to attack us right away, or if we can get a few turns to set up. So through to the Onix, we're going to start off with Growl. We love to see Bide turn 1. After he uses a 3-turn Bide, we know that we can just use Ember to get an attack off on him. And now we're just trying to get through the Onix. Now we've burned it. He uses a full heal. We're able to keep using Ember over and over and over again. And okay, with that, we get through. In Red and Blue, with a 0 DVs Charmeleon, this is absolutely possible. It's not easy, we have to reset a lot of times, but the fact that it is possible is all that matters. Let's see if Yellow version makes any difference in the performance of our Charmeleon, because the Geodude's going to attack us every time, but we still have Ember at our disposal. So let's see how this goes. We are going to start the game and pick up our Charmeleon, where now we are going to have to fight our rival here. He has an Eevee instead of having a Squirtle, so we can just lead off with Ember instead of using Scratch in this battle. Makes it a very, very easy fight. Against the Bug Catcher, a Caterpie can't poison us, and we just use Ember to get through it. So now this is the actual test. How does Brock go? Well, we're going to start the same way, trying to set up Growls and Embers. I tried one time just to see if we could get through only using Ember. Of course, that doesn't work. So instead, I set up a Growl. Now I'm using Ember to see if we can get through, and we do get through. So now, just against Onix, we just need to get some good luck. A bind is not how we want to start that section of the fight. So it looks like if we can even just get a Growl off, we have a chance to get through the Geodude. Onix remains a huge barrier though. So it takes a ton of resets, a ton of further attempts to finally get the luck that I get in this run here, where I get multiple burns off on the Geodude. I'm able to get through with 14 HP. Onix leads off with Bide, and I'm able to use Growl to set up in order to reduce its attack. And now I can start using Ember, and we get a burn off on the Onix while it's in Bide, and so it takes multiple turns for Brock to heal up. Finally, with that luck, we're able to get through, and on max DVs, it wasn't easy, but Charmeleon was actually able to beat Brock on minimum battles. So, the real question becomes, if we beat him on max DVs, can we beat him on 0 DVs? Let's see how this one goes. Suffice it to say, it took tons of attempts in order to finally get a run like this. We were just resetting, but we finally get a run where we get through the Geodude with almost all of our HP intact. So here against Onix, it's really about getting set up. We get a burn off, which is amazing. And now we're really just hoping not to take too much damage. Yes, we can't avoid hitting it when it uses Bide because we're slower than the Onix. But if we can get its HP down low enough, we're gonna have a shot. And it finishes Bide, we get a burn off, and now we're able to just take it out. So, even on 0 DVs, Charmeleon is possible. It's very, very difficult. I'll post the full unedited run below. You'll see I reset so many times to get that run. But that tells us that if a Pokemon like Charmeleon can do it, we know Charizard is going to absolutely beast this section of the game. We don't really need to see all of the battles in order to see it. We really just need to go straight to Brock. Here in only our second attempt, we've already gotten set up on the Geodude, and we get through without too much difficulty. So next up, it's just Onix, and we really just need to avoid hitting him while he's using Bide or getting locked into a bind for a long time. The more times that he uses Bide and we're able to just set up on him, or the more times that he misses or uses weak attacks, we get through. It's really not that difficult to get through Brock on minimum battles with max DVs. So what we need to check now is, how do 0 DVs affect that? Are we going to be able to get through consistently, or is this going to be a big grind to get through? So let's get into that. Here against Brock on our first battle with 0 DVs, we can see that at this point it's going pretty much the same. We've gotten set up on the Geodude, we're using Ember to get through. We get through with decent HP. And now we just need some decent luck against the Onix in order to get through. Really, the big challenge is that we don't outspeed. So if we use Ember and he uses Bide, we're going to end up taking damage from him, and we can get knocked out like that. Let's try this again. We're going to set up all of our Growls on the Geodude. Once we get all the Growls set up, we're going to switch into using Ember to try to take him out. So we've gotten his attack down nicely. We are going to continue using Ember to try to get through this fight. We'd really like to get a burn off in order to get his damage output really, really low. And we've got him down to doing just a couple HP per turn. So there we go, we take him out. Now against Onix, we love to see Bide turn 1 so that we can just start setting up our Growls. And once we get all our Growls set up, we just want to kind of time out when to hit him. And hopefully he doesn't use Bide, because that's really the only thing that will stop us. But when he uses Bide late in the battle, it's already too late. We get through. So even on 0 DVs in blue version, Charizard is not actually that difficult. It gets through in just a few attempts. So now what we need to see is how we do in yellow version. Here with max DVs, we can see on our very first attempt that this is going very similarly to red and blue actually. We get through to the Onix on the very first try. Now, the big point is that we need to get set up. We have Leer that we can use to also lower his defense if he keeps using Bide. And basically, we're just trying to time out when to attack him in order to prevent taking damage back. And Ember is probably the stronger of the two moves even after we get all the Leers set up. But if we can just get the right kind of luck, we get through. Yeah, we have 1 HP left, but a win is a win is a win, guys. So, with max DVs in yellow version, we get through just fine. Now we need to see what happens on 0 DVs. So, back to Brock with 0 DVs in yellow version. Let's see how this goes. We obviously are going to need a little bit more luck here, because we have much lower stats, and Geodude attacks us every single turn. So we really need to get growls and burns off on him. But once we do, we're able to get through to Onix just on our second attempt here. And once we get to Onix, it's always just going to be about luck. Does he use Bide the same turn that we use Ember and then end up hitting us for a lot of damage? So once we get him fairly low, we're just gonna use Ember, and it was only 2 attempts, guys. That's completely unedited. Charizard really doesn't struggle that much in this section. I mean, it's easily a B or even low A tier Pokemon if you were to put them into a tier list. So with Charizard out of the way, now it's time to move on to our Squirtle runs. And here in Red and Blue version, Squirtle has a similar problem to what Bulbasaur had in Yellow version. You see, Squirtle learns Bubble at level 8, but if you've been paying attention to these starters so far, they all get to level 7 in Viridian Forest in or in Red and Blue version, and then when they beat the Geodude, they level up to level 9. So actually, we need to lose this battle against the rival in order to make sure that we do not level up too much. So in this fight, we're just going to be spamming Tail Whip until we get taken out. Now moving on to the Bug Catcher. In Viridian Forest, we're able to just try to get through this fight. Once we do, we're going to level up to level 6. So we're just going to set up a little bit of Tail Whips, and there we go. So we're now level 6 with our Squirtle. But that means we're going in 1 level lower than Bulbasaur or Charmander went in. And we don't really have anything to use other than Tackle. Is a level 6 Squirtle going to get through on Tackle against a level 12 Geodude? This is not going to be easy, guys. So I'm going to give it a few attempts just to see if this is possible, but if it turns out not to be possible, we're just going to move on. So here we can already see that the Geodude has us in about 3 hit range, and our damage output is not very good. We would need him to miss over and over and over and over again. And even if you're thinking about him using Defense Curl, yeah, using 1 Defense Curl is about a 50-50 shot. Using 2 Defense Curls is about a 1 in 4 shot. Using 10 Defense Curls in a row is about a 1 in 1,000 shot. And as we need more and more Defense Curls from him in order to get through, the more and more difficult it becomes. So there's probably a 1 in a million shot that we could beat this battle, but it's not going to work here on max DVs in Red and Blue. Yellow version, on the other hand, is a very different story. You see, here in Yellow version, we're going to naturally get to level 8 in Viridian Forest, so we actually need to beat the rival right here. We'll level up to level 6 on this fight, and then get to level 8 in Viridian Forest. We get taken out the first time, but it's really just a matter of luck in getting through. Eevee's always going to be a little bit harder because it has Stab on its Tackle. So now let's get on to Viridian Forest. Now up against the Bug Catcher, we just need to lead off with a few Tail Whips in order to lower its defense, and then we're going to change into Tackle. And we're hoping to just take it down very easily, and there we go. You guys can see we leveled up to level 8, and we got Bubble. Bubble makes all the difference in the world against Brock, because yes, it's a 20 base power move, but it's stab and it's 4 times effective against Brock's Pokemon. So right here, we're just going to lead off with Bubble, and you can see that it's a 2-hit KO on the Geodude and a 2-hit KO on the Onix. It's really not that difficult to get through in Pokemon Yellow with Squirtle, which is a huge contrast to being completely impossible in Red and Blue. Here, even on 0 DVs, 2 hits against the Geodude, and we're through. Moving on to the Onix, here we go. If we don't get locked into bind forever, 2 hits, and we're through. Squirtle is incredibly consistent in Yellow version, and probably the best of the Kanto starters in this version. Whereas in Red and Blue, it's very clear that Bulbasaur is the way to go. So, with that being out of the way, now we can move on to Wartortle and Blastoise, and I think we know how they're going to go. They're going to have the same movesets, guys. So, we just have to get straight to Brock with these two. So with Wartortle in Red and Blue, we've already got Bubble, because the Kanto starters, when they're in their second stage of their evolution, they always start with the 3rd move. So we can see that we got through Brock incredibly easily on max DVs. But we wouldn't really expect it to change on 0 DVs in this case. I mean, we're going to use the same move, Bubble, over and over and over again. So let's just get that battle loaded up. And let's take Brock out again with our 0 DVs Wartortle. So here we are. Bubble, Bubble, Bubble. 3 bubbles to get through the Geodude, and then 2 bubbles to get through Onix. Even on 0 DVs, there's basically no chance that we'd ever lose with our Wartortle. And because it's possible in Yellow version with a Squirtle at level 8, we obviously know that Wartortle's just going to do the same thing. 2 bubbles against Geodude, 2 bubbles against Onix. Max DVs Wartortle gets through in Yellow version. Just follow up now with our 0 DVs run in Yellow version. We wouldn't really expect any difference, right? I mean, it's just going to be Bubble, Bubble, Bubble. Let's try it. So here against the Geodude, it's still a 2-hit KO. And here against Onix, great, you can use Bide. We're just going to use 2 bubbles and take him out. So Wartortle is incredibly consistent. It would basically be an S-tier Pokemon against Brock. Blastoise is really just going to be more of the same. The big difference is just that Blastoise starts off with a 4th move, Water Gun. Let's see how Brock does against Water Gun. On max DVs in Red and Blue, oh look, it's a 1-hit KO against the Geodude. And it's a 1-hit KO against the Onix. And the only reason we took damage was a Gen 1 miss against the Geodude. That's ridiculous. That's a 1 in 256 chance of missing with Water Gun. And of course we got it in that battle. So now, on 0 DVs, we're coming right back to Brock. And we have the same strategy, guys. Water Gun. Do you think we're going to get through on 0 DVs with our Blastoise? Let's find out. So here we are. Back in Yellow version with max DVs. We just use Water Gun and take him out. And we can come back with our 0 DVs run on Blastoise. And we're just going to see more of the same. There's not really anything too exciting about this section of the run because we just use 1 Water Gun. 0 DVs, max DVs, it doesn't matter. They're all 1-hits. And that's kind of going to tell us in the future with all these other Water-type Pokemon, if they start off with a move as strong as Water Gun, which is only 40 base power, they're probably going to crush Brock. So just keep that in mind when we get to future runs, that there's not really going to be a whole lot of difficulty with these Blastoise runs. Probably Lapras is going to come up in this conversation, etc. We're just going to expect those Pokemon to get through very, very easily. So now that we've gotten through with all of the Kanto starters and their evolutions, it's time to get to some truly difficult runs. The first of those is Caterpie. So in Red and Blue, we replaced Bulbasaur with Caterpie because, of course, if we were going to take a full game run with a Caterpie, we would want to be up against the rival with Charmander. That would be the toughest rival. And Caterpie only knows String Shot and Tackle. There's not really any point in using String Shot. So we just have to use Tackle and hope to get through. Doesn't happen the first time. We actually need a lot of luck. We need him to use Growl more times than he uses Scratch. Otherwise, we can get taken out just like that. So let's try this again. We're back into using Tackle over and over and over again. Please let us get through. Please don't attack us. Okay. Oh, we almost got through. We got him down to a sliver. Let's try this again. Tackle, 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 tackle. Finally, we get through. So that's a grind just to get through Charmander with our Caterpie. But our troubles really don't end there, guys. Because think about it. Our next fight is against a level 9 Weedle in Viridian Forest. And in this generation, Poison Sting, a poison type move, is super effective against Bug. Now, I seem to recall that was changed in later generations, that Poison was no longer super effective against Bug, which honestly never made any sense to me because you use Poison to kill bugs. It's called pesticide. So why would Poison not be super effective against Bug? But anyway, Poison Sting is going to be super effective against our Caterpie, and that is a very weak poison move. It's only 15 base power, but it's stab with the Weedle, and of course it's super effective against us, so it's really like 3 times stronger than that. Are we going to be able to get through a Weedle? A level 9 Weedle here in Viridian Forest? We're going to need a lot of luck in this one. So with that being said, I guess let's get into it. So the first battle, we just have to use Tackle. There's no point in using String Shot, but we can already see that we're getting taken out by this Weedle so quickly. We're like a 3-hit KO from him. He's doing like 7 damage every turn, and now we get poisoned. Great. We are going to need insane luck just to get through a Bug Catcher. Think about that. The Bug Catcher, he's a higher level. Yeah, he can poison us, but for most Pokemon, this is not a challenge at all. And yet for Caterpie, this is almost a complete wall. We need him to really get stuck just using String Shot against us for as many turns as possible. We need to not get poisoned. We need to not take 3 hits from him, basically. And we're doing this little damage every time that we use Tackle. So I was just sitting here going through attempt after attempt after attempt, trying to get through this fight. And it's not easy. It's really, really quite difficult. We get knocked out so many times right here. And all we can do is just reset and fight him again and again and again and hope not to get poisoned and hope not to get knocked out in 3 turns. And yeah, would you want to do this? Honestly, when we talk about why minimum battles matter, who would want to do this with their free time? You get off work, or you have a day off and a holiday and you want to play some Pokemon. Would you want to grind like this? Probably not, but the fact is that there are a lot of Pokemon that you would be sitting here grinding for this same amount of time just to get through Viridian Forest. There we finally get a lucky run where we get through with our Caterpie, and now it's on to Brock, but what do you think that's going to look like? if we can't beat a level 9 Weedle, and now we're up against a level 10 Geodude and a level 12 Onix with only Tackle, do you think we have any shot in this battle? Well, let's try it. We're going to lead off by using Tackle over and over and over and over again. It doesn't matter, guys. We're not going to get through this run with a Caterpie. Plain and simple, there's just no way to get through. So, if Caterpie fails, guys, do I really have to do the Metapod run? Alright, well, for the sake of completionism, let's take a Metapod. Let's see if we can even get through the rival. Let's try. Place your bets right now, ladies and gentlemen. Do you think a Metapod can beat Brock on minimum battles? In the Pokemon anime, there was an entire battle between Ash and another trainer in the Viridian Forest where they literally took their Metapods and just had like a Harden battle against each other. They just kept using Harden over and over and over again. And somehow the anime thought that that was a good idea. Anyway, here against the rival, we're going to use Harden. And how's this going to go? Well, oh, we got taken out. Guess what, folks? Even with the best possible Metapod, how do you expect that we're going to get through? We're going to fight the Weedle that has a super effective move against us. And we don't have any way to use up all our Hardens because we would have to fight wild Pokemon, and that's outside of the rules of this challenge. So, Metapod is out of there. Metapod is not a possible run. So now with Metapod and Caterpie out of the way, we can finally get back to our regularly scheduled programming, which is an actually possible run, which is going to be our Butterfree. Now, Butterfree has a few advantages going for it. It's going to start the game with Confusion. That's its only move, but it is a Psychic type move, and it can confuse our opponents. So with max DVs, I think we have a chance here. Starting off against the rival, we've replaced Bulbasaur with Butterfree, so he's going to have a Charmander, but Confusion is really strong. We are able to get through that just fine. Now against the Bug Catcher, Confusion is super effective against Weedle. So unlike Caterpie that struggled so much in this battle, we're going to get through on the first attempt. Yes, we got poisoned. We can heal up our poison damage right here. And it's just on to Brock. Now, Brock is going to be a bit interesting. In Red and Blue, he has higher level Pokemon, which means it's going to take more turns to take him out. But if we can get Confusion on his Pokemon, we're going to have a shot. So we only have one choice. We just have to use Confusion every single turn. And we can see that if we don't get decent luck, if we don't get any Confusions on him, and if he doesn't use a lot of Defense Curls, he will take us out with Geodude. So we want to see Defense Curl, we want to see misses. We finally get through to Onix. Now Onix presents the next big challenge of this run, because we don't have any way to avoid damaging him when he uses Bide. So if he uses Bide early in the battle, we are going to get taken out. We don't have any way to dodge that. We really want to see Screech, maybe Tackle, just no Bide. So here we're going to get through the Geodude yet again. Back to Onix. Let's use Confusion. And if we can confuse it, that will actually also break Bide. So if it uses Bide, but it becomes confused and then hits itself in Confusion, it resets the whole thing. So if we can just get that kind of luck one time, come on, Onix, one time. We just need to get the right kind of luck here. And it just takes tons of attempts. We get another run where we get through on full HP. And now we're using Confusion. And we really just need to not be taken out. Finally, after all of those attempts, we get a run where he doesn't use Bide at the beginning of the battle, and we're able to take him out. Butterfree is incredibly inconsistent, even though it's possible. And coming back in yellow version really doesn't change that much. Yes, the Geodude's at a lower level, but it always attacks us every turn. So what we need to happen in this version is we actually need to confuse the Geodude. We need to confuse it and have it hit itself in confusion. We're not just banking on some lucky misses. Here we finally get a run where we get through on max HP. So please just don't take us out. And there we go. We get through on max DVs in yellow version with Butterfree. It took a couple of attempts, but it wasn't really that bad. Now we've got to try this same run with 0 DVs. Because 0 DVs is not necessarily going to be easy by any means, but we've got a blueprint, basically. We need to get confusion off on Geodude, and then we need to not have bide early on in the battle with Onix. Let's see how this goes. So, against Geodude, it's just more of the same. We've just got to use confusion over and over again. It hits itself in confusion, which is great. We get through on the very first attempt to Onix. Now, we just really need to get through. We got so close. If we just get one more hit on it, we would have gotten through. Or if it had gotten confused and hit itself in confusion, we would have gotten through. So in this battle, we finally get some pretty good luck, where we get through on high HP to Onix, we confuse it right away, and it hits itself 3 times in confusion. And that's exactly the kind of luck that it takes to get through with a 0 DVs Butterfree. It's never going to be a consistent run, but it is possible, provided that we get the right kind of luck. So Butterfree has actually beaten Brock on minimum battles, with max DVs and 0 DVs. So here we go, we are loading up our Weedle run in Pokemon Blue, and Weedle is going to be another one of these Pokemon that's very, very interesting at this point in the game. Poison Sting is an incredibly weak move. So even though it's stab, it's weaker than having tackle. It's basically one of the weakest attacking moves in the game. So will we be able to get through? Let's find out. Here against the rival, we need to start off by just spamming Poison Sting and hoping to get through him. There's really nothing else to do. We need the experience. Poisoning him helps a lot, because now when he uses Growl, he's still going to take damage. There we go, we get through. And here we are at the bug catcher. Let's try this. So we're going to just lead off by using Poison Sting over and over and over again, and hoping that he doesn't attack us too many times, and we get through. And we actually got through on the first attempt, guys. That's awesome. The first attempt, we take out a Weedle that's 5 levels higher than us. Maybe that's because Weedle's not a very strong Pokemon. Well, the only way to find out is to take it up against Brock. And let's see how our Weedle does. Wait. All of our attacks are missing. Why? We're using Poison Sting. That's got to be a mistake. Let's try that again. What? All of our attacks are missing. We haven't landed a single attack. What the heck is going on? It's very simple, guys. Poison Sting is a poison type move, which means that it is resisted by Brock's Pokemon. On top of that, its attack power, its base attack power, is so weak that the game is actually rounding down the damage to 0. And whenever an attack in Generation 1 does 0 damage, it gets counted as a miss. There's 0 chance that we can get through on this run. Here we go. We are starting our Kakuna section of the challenge. And it just brings me back to J. Rose. Kakuna Rattata. What two terrible Pokemon. Kakuna Rattata. Did J-Rose ever finish that? Anyway, we have our Kakuna with max DVs. Oh yeah, we know Harden. Let's try the rival. So we're going to use Harden over and over and over again. And he took us out. Guys, there's no chance of getting through this section of the run with a Kakuna. We already know that. There are a few Pokemon like this, right? Metapod, Kakuna, Abra, and Magikarp. These Pokemon, there's no way that we're going to get through because there's no way for us to use up all of their useless moves and even get to struggle. So now that we've gotten all of the impossible runs out of the way, the ones that are truly just, there's no thought or prayer of them ever getting through, let's take one last Pokemon that is actually a pretty interesting case study in Gen 1, which is going to be our Beedrill. Beedrill's interesting because it starts off with Fury Attack. So it's not going to have the whole Poison Sting issue where it can't do damage. Fury Attack can hit up to 5 times, which means that even if we were doing 1 HP of damage to our opponent, we could do up to 5 damage. Here against the rival, let's see how Fury Attack does. It's not super strong, but it does get us through fairly easily. And when we get to the Weedle, it's going to be more of the same. Just a few Fury Attacks and we get through. Now the real question is, do we have any shot whatsoever against Brock? Because we would never expect to really struggle before Brock. The rival and a bug catcher are not actually that hard in terms of opponents. But can Fury Attack do enough damage to even get us close? Well, here in Red and Blue version, which is pretty much our best chance because he'll use Defense Curl, we can see that we're not doing that much damage, and we get taken out with the Geodude at about half health. Let's try this again. So, again, the only move is Fury Attack. Fury Attack is not perfectly accurate, but we are doing decent-ish damage. We're getting him still down to around half health. Maybe we just need a run where he uses a lot of Defense Curls in order to get through. But this is just not really a very consistent run. I mean, it's very consistent that he's taking us out in just a few turns because he's double our level. But Fury Attack, even with the potential to do 5 damage in a turn, just really doesn't do that much. And short of him using Defense Curl maybe 10 or 15 times, we're just not going to get through this fight. So, because of that, it sucks to say, but Beedrill is basically out of it. So, how did we do? Well, putting our Pokemon into a tier list, we can see pretty easily that the best Pokemon out of this set of 15 against Brock are in this order: Blastoise, Venusaur, then Wartortle. Blastoise is number 1 because it just one-shots Brock's Pokemon, regardless of its stats. It can be on max DVs, it can be on 0 DVs, it does not matter. Venusaur, it's always a 2-shot, same for Wartortle, it's always a 2-shot. These Pokemon are never gonna lose. The next set of Pokemon really are where it becomes version specific. Squirtle will crush the game in yellow. Squirtle has huge struggles and cannot get through in red and blue. So next in the C tier, we have our Charmeleon. It needs a lot of luck to get through, but it is pretty close to being able to take out Brock just by using Ember, especially when it has max DVs. With 0 DVs, we have to get a lot more luck, guys. That's just going to be par for the course. Then in D tier, we have our Butterfree. Butterfree is so maddeningly inconsistent. Even with max DVs, we've got to get a Confusion off and hopefully get Brock's Pokemon to hit themselves in Confusion and we can't see Bide early in the battle against Onix, or we get taken out. It does end up being possible on max DVs and 0 DVs, so it has to be at least in D tier, but it's going to be a low D tier Pokemon. All the other bugs and Charmander are completely impossible. F tier, they're eliminated from this challenge. So, how did we do? Depending on the version, we got through with 8 or 9 Pokemon. And that's a pretty good set for minimum battles. We're going to see that a lot of other Pokemon groups don't have that same success rate. That being said, in our next episode, we'll be coming back with Pidgey through Nidoqueen. And the Nidoqueen run, I think, is going to be really interesting. So, I'm looking forward to that. I hope you are too. Drop a like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video. If you made it all the way to the end, you guys are absolute legends. You can also vote on our next Rival 5 run in the comments down below. Just tell me right, center, or left, which Pokeball do you want us to take? You can see a link over here on the right side to one of the minimum battles against the Rival videos, or if you want to see more content, there was a playlist linked over there as well. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much. Later.